In the Hor of Palestine, in the valley of the river Jordan, lies Jericho, the oldest fortified town in the world. For 10,000 years, culture and civilization flourished at this ancient crossroad. And it is here where the Arab caliphs of the Umayyad dynasty built one of their greatest monuments, the palace at Khirbet al-Mafjar, known as Hisham's Palace. A cataclysmic earthquake struck Jericho in 749, destroying the town and burying its magnificent monuments. In 1935, the Palestinian archaeologists began the first scientific excavations there, and they worked for 13 seasons. What they uncovered was extraordinary, a palace of uncommon grandeur. An unassuming white marble slab gave them an important clue. On it was an ancient ink inscription that read in part, "To the servant of God, Hisham." Subsequently, the site was associated with the Umayyad Caliph Hisham ibn Abd al-Malik, who ruled the Umayyad dynasty from 723 until 743. The palace complex was built on 4 hectares of land. It featured the palace, a main courtyard, a great bath, an inner small mosque, an outer congregational mosque, a garden with a fountain pavilion, 2 main gates, and a residence with an agricultural estate called Daya. The palace was a 2-storied square building. Its interior decoration married Byzantine and Persian traditions and contained human, floral, and animal sculptures and stucco works with geometric designs. It had niches for statues which were removed and placed in the Palestine Archaeological Museum in Jerusalem. The palace was planned around a central courtyard and was enclosed by 4 arcaded galleries. On the western side of the courtyard, a stairway led to a subterranean cold bath known as Sirdab. The floor was decorated with fine mosaics. Today, where the courtyard once stood, are the remains of a 6-lobed rosette window. When the earthquake struck, it fell downwards, smashing it at the entrance of the cold bath and shattering into pieces. And in the 1930s, it was painstakingly reassembled by Palestinian stonemasons and engineers. It may have originally been on the 2nd floor. Between the northeastern side of the palace and the great bath was the congregational mosque. It was an open-air mosque. Only the southern section had a roof supported by 2 rows of columns. In the forecourt of the palace was a fountain housed under an octagonal pavilion with a dome ceiling. It was surrounded by a balustrade carved with relief stones and small columns. The main entrance to the audience hall of the Great Bath was through a high open archway adorned with statues. One statue, presumably of a caliph, stood alone, with a sword in his hand and 2 lions at his feet. The vaulted system was of brick. It rested on 16 massive stone piers in 4 rows. The roof rose to a central dome. The vast floor of the audience hall consisted of 38 different mosaic carpets, whose design formed a superstructure that was divided into circular and rectangular sub-mosaic carpets. Today, this magnificent work of art is one of the largest surviving mosaic floors from the ancient world. At the northwest corner of the hall is the diwan, where archaeologists speculate the caliph received his guests. Its raised platform is covered by the magnificent mosaic known as the Tree of Life. On the left side are two gazelles peacefully nibbling leaves. On the other side, a lion attacks a gazelle. This scene has been interpreted as symbolizing the duality of life, good and evil, peace and war. The Great Bath Complex is now covered by a shelter which protects the mosaic floors from the natural exposure and human impact. Thanks to the shelter, visitors can enjoy the spectacular mosaic floors from the walk path. Before the shelter was constructed, the mosaic floors were kept covered for decades as a protective measure. Today, Hisham's palace site includes a site museum, an interpretation hall, and a mosaic workshop. Hisham's palace represents a unique and outstanding example of an Umayyad palace complex in both its architectural components and its decorative art.